Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're looking at something that is fundamentally changing how we interact with artificial intelligence. We're unpacking the Hermes Agent Ecosystem. And honestly, this isn't just some incremental update in AI, it's a massive breakthrough in autonomous architecture. We're going to explore how this open source framework is completely rethinking local LLMs, hardening enterprise security, and enabling truly autonomous agentic workflows. Let's dive right in. So, I want you to think about the ultimate frustration we all seem to have with current AI tools. You spend an hour carefully explaining your project's context, your specific coding conventions, or your business logic, and it works great. But then you close the browser, and poof, it's gone. It completely resets every single session, meaning you have to re-explain yourself every single time. But what if your AI actually got smarter every time you used it? What if it just remembered your workflows? Well, that is exactly the problem the Hermes framework was built to solve. We are literally experiencing a massive paradigm shift right now. Think about the old way of doing things, stateless chatbot wrappers. They're forgetful, they're completely dependent on the cloud, and they're purely reactive, meaning they only do something when you specifically type in a prompt. Now compare that to the Hermes persistent agent. We're moving away from simple chatbots to a persistent background daemon. It's backed by robust memory, it's fully capable of running entirely locally, and most importantly, it's proactive. It actually lives on your infrastructure and can run scheduled jobs even while you're fast asleep. Okay, so what exactly is it? Hermes Agent is an open-source, model-agnostic background daemon. At its core, you've got this self-evolving loop paired with database-backed memory and something called progressive skill compilation. It's released under an MIT license, which is huge because it means you can audit every single line of code. Plus, it's incredibly lightweight. You can run this whole setup anywhere from a $5 a month virtual private server all the way up to a massive enterprise GPU cluster. It's completely up to you. All right, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, beyond chatbots. 2, memory and workflows. 3, enterprise security. 4, local LLMs and deploy. And finally, business automation. Let's kick things off with Section 1, beyond chatbots, the core architecture. Think of this like a senior engineer whiteboarding out the absolute perfect system. Hermes uses a super clean 3-tier architecture. Layer 1 is the gateway. This handles all the communication and has over 15 different adapters, so you can literally message your agent from Slack, Telegram, or Discord. Layer 2 is the core orchestration engine. This is essentially the brain, the AI agent class that takes care of provider selection, prompt construction, and session persistence. Then Layer 3 is the execution backend. This is where the heavy lifting actually happens, whether that's locally, over SSH, or safely sandboxed inside a Docker container. Practically speaking, this means you can casually message the agent from your phone on Telegram, and it'll seamlessly execute complex workloads on a secure cloud VM. Now, people often ask how this compares to something like LangChain. Well, LangChain is basically a toolkit you use to build an agent product. It requires you to personally wire up the memory, the checkpointer, the vector store, and honestly, that can take days or even weeks of engineering time. Hermes Agent, on the other hand, is the ready-to-use agent product daemon. You can install it in minutes with a single curl command, and it just works right out of the box with all that memory and orchestration already built in. Moving right along to Section 2, memory and workflows, the cognitive layer. This is where things get truly incredible. See, most agents treat every single task as a brand new problem, but Hermes treats every task as an opportunity to learn. It uses a closed learning loop. Step 1, it executes a complex task using a reasoning and acting or react loop. Step 2, it actually extracts the edge cases and pitfalls it ran into during that task. And step 3, after about 15 successful tool calls, it autonomously compiles a reusable Markdown document called a skill.md. What does that mean for you? It means the next time it faces a similar problem, it just loads up that skill. It literally never has to solve the exact same problem from scratch twice. But skills are just one piece of the cognitive layer. The framework also features a robust 5-layer SQL and SQLite database with full-text search. This episodic memory is exactly what allows the agent to flawlessly recall a totally random conversation you had 3 days ago. On top of that, for those highly complex tasks, Hermes can actually spawn isolated subagents. It delegates parallel workstreams, where each subagent gets its own context and terminal session, and then it beautifully aggregates all those results back to the parent agent. And because Hermes is an always-on daemon, it features built-in cron scheduling. You can just give it a natural language command, something like, hey, Every Monday at 9 a.m., summarize last week's commits and send the report to Slack. The agent will run these unattended operations while you are entirely offline and just deliver the results right to your messaging platform. It's a real game changer. All right, Section 3, Enterprise Security, Defense in Depth. Let's be real, giving an AI the ability to execute code requires some serious safety measures. Hermes uses very strict boundaries to keep your environment safe. First up, Docker sandboxing. When Hermes executes code, it can do it inside a totally isolated container with a read-only root file system and process ID limits. That keeps your host system completely untouched and safe. Second, there's a smart command approval system. You can easily set it up so the agent literally has to ask you for manual approval before it runs any dangerous terminal commands. And finally, the system uses aggressive secret redaction. It employs regex masking to automatically scrub API keys, passwords, and any personally identifiable information from logs and tool outputs, so none of your sensitive data is ever exposed to the LLM provider. And this matters tremendously for enterprise businesses. Because of these robust security features, especially when combined with network isolation and comprehensive audit logging, organizations can confidently deploy Hermes in highly regulated environments. The source material points out that with the right architecture, Hermes deployments can actually support super strict compliance standards. We're talking SOC 2, the HIPAA security rule for healthcare, and even CMMC Level 2 for defense contractors. Let's jump into Section 4, Local LLMs and Deploy, the infrastructure layer. As we mentioned, Hermes is completely model agnostic. While it works beautifully with cloud providers, it becomes uniquely powerful when you run it against local LLMs. You've got a few primary backends to choose from. Llama is fantastic because it offers the absolute lowest friction path for a simple laptop setup. Then there's LM Studio, which provides a really nice graphical interface if you want to browse and test quantized models. And for enterprise teams running shared GPU servers, vLLM is your high-throughput option. The only strict requirement to keep in mind here is that the model you choose really needs to have at least a 64,000 token context window. Otherwise, it just won't be able to handle those complex agentic tasks effectively. Now, choosing between local and cloud isn't just a simple either-or decision. Local models give you total privacy and zero per-token API costs, though you do have to shoulder the hardware and electricity costs yourself. Cloud APIs, like the ones you'd access through OpenRouter, offer incredible frontier-level reasoning capabilities, but they do come with usage costs and data egress concerns. Honestly, the smartest setups usually rely on hybrid routing. That's where you keep your highly sensitive data strictly on local models, but you configure the agent to fall back to a cloud provider for the really heavy lifting, tasks that demand massive context windows or super complex reasoning. To manage exactly how these models are exposed, Hermes uses dynamic setup modes. Quick setup is perfect for fast prototyping. Full setup gives the agent broad access to all your tools and integrations for a production environment. But the one I really want to highlight is blank slate mode. For sensitive, client-facing deployments, blank slate mode actually turns off 12 major capabilities by default, things like web browsing and certain media tools. This is absolutely crucial because it prevents system prompt bloat and massively reduces your attack surface. It basically ensures the agent operates with highly predictable, constrained behavior. And that brings us to Section 5, Business Automation, Real-World Impact. I absolutely love this quote we pulled directly from a developer in the Hermes community. They said, "Day 10, agent knows my codebase better than I do." I mean, that just perfectly encapsulates the whole theme of compounding capabilities. Because Hermes autonomously curates its memory and creates smart abstractions from its past experiences, it literally gets better at understanding your specific environment over time. It's not just some static tool you use, it becomes a dynamic, active participant in your workflow. And the real-world use cases for this are just off the charts. In security operations, the agent can monitor your logs 24/7 and alert your team via Telegram the second it spots an anomaly, all while learning your system's specific baseline over time. For IT infrastructure, it can leverage its SSH backend and that built-in cron scheduling to run diagnostic scripts and shoot over daily health reports. And on the operations side, you can integrate it with platforms like NoCoBase or Slack to autonomously classify incoming emails, triage your CRM leads, and manage tedious data entry without any human intervention. It essentially becomes an autonomous orchestrator sitting right at the very center of your toolkit. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought. What would you automate if your personalized, self-improving AI ran securely 24/7? We've seen today how Hermes Agent moves us way beyond those forgetful chatbots and into a totally new world of persistent memory, local privacy, and true enterprise-grade security. The capability is already here, it's open source, and it's just waiting for you to start building with it. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I highly encourage you to go explore the source material and see what you can create for yourself.